everybody. Welcome to the Rochester Press Box. I'm Tariq Spence filling in for Bill Pucko. So that means if I'm here, someone's in the guest seat, and that is Kevin Oklobzija. Welcome back, sir.
Great to be here.
Good to have you. Can't wait to talk a little Sabres, so sneak that in somehow. I don't know how I'm going to do it. Why? Not because Duffy's wearing a jersey.
Well, yeah. Season opens next week. Dylan Cousins. I made a mistake. I was going to go Tage Thompson or Dylan Cousins at the beginning of last season, and I figured Cousins had more staying power, and then Tage Thompson exploded for 79 goals last season.
But he could be the Bengals this year, so.
Yeah, no, good point. Good point.
That's why we have to talk about it. But first, we start with the NFL. Any disappointments, surprises? I know we're only 3 games into the season, Kevin, but what has sort of caught your eye thus far?
See, I'd like to say the Bengals are a disappointment, but I don't know if they are. I mean, they are. They made the Super Bowl, but it was a magical run. So the fact they're struggling this year, I don't think it's a total surprise, but it's a disappointment, no doubt. But they can't block. Their offensive line still is horrible. So
and they addressed it, which is strange. Like you would have thought, like if you were going to have problems, you went to the Super Bowl, you were a couple of plays away, we can leave it alone the way that it is. But they went in and tried to fix it.
Now maybe that's a continuity, chemistry thing, and an offensive line does take some time for guys to get to know, what the other guy's doing on whatever play when they're doing this on defense. So maybe they'll be fine.
There is that Super Bowl hangover between both teams, either the Rams and the Bengals, going into this season. I think we kind of thought, you know what, you win the Super Bowl, you're going to take a year off, you're not going to be as sharp as before. Bengals did have the issue with their quarterback, Joe Burrow, with this appendectomy, which a lot of guys, were saying, well, he didn't have camp, he looked rusty the first couple of weeks, so we'll see.
Yeah, that's a good point. He's, you forget that he's only been in the year, in the league, 3 years now, right?
It's like third year now.
Yeah, like this isn't Aaron Rodgers, this isn't Tom Brady. I mean, this is a guy who still is learning to play the position in the NFL. So, yeah, you might have a point there.
Any surprise, though, right now with Philadelphia?
Yeah,
I mean, that's got to be it.
I cannot believe what's happening in Philadelphia right now. Like, who knew? First of all, it makes Ryan Tannehill look terrible that A.J. Brown is performing the way that he is with Jalen Hurts throwing the ball. I don't know if Jalen Hurts is good. He looks really impressive, and that team is fast. But does fast mean they're good?
But their D is good.
Yeah.
So that I think that makes up for a lot or creates a lot for your offense when you're stopping the other team getting the ball back in good position as opposed to on your 3, on your 7, whatever. I think the Jags are fun. Like, I think Jacksonville is, and I think they're a surprise, but I don't think they're a fluke. I don't think it's a mirage.
You want to talk about someone looking bad after last season? How bad was Urban Meyer as a head coach?
Horrible.
This team has blown out opponents in consecutive weeks, and legitimate opponents. I mean, I know you had injuries in Los Angeles, but they shouldn't have beaten them 38-10.
Stomped them. And their D it's all about that game against the Bills last year, that 9-6, what happened? How could the Bills play so poorly? Did they? I mean, that defense is even better with the rookies they drafted.
It was one of 2 wins. I mean, you can't sit here and be like, oh, we knew it a long time ago.
Correct, but I'm just saying at least that was kind of a glimpse of maybe what's there. Not from Trevor Lawrence. They didn't do anything on offense either, but now their offense is rolling, and that's Doug Peterson, which they're moving guys around. He's got, maybe it all catches up. Maybe defenses figure out what they're doing. They get away from the trickery. Okay, the Wildcat, it's a fad. But right now, they don't know how to stop them, and they're stopping everybody.
It's so interesting to see this, too. And then you look at what's happening with the Raiders, and I'm kind of concerned when you add sort of coaches in, and the team gets worse.
Yeah.
Instead of getting better, the Raiders are supposed to get better. Even the Broncos are supposed to be better.
Okay, I'm not surprised by the Broncos because we've had Hackett in Buffalo. Really, really, really nice guy. Can't coach his way out of a paper bag. Speaking of can't coach his way out of a paper bag, why does McDaniel keep getting opportunity after opportunity? By the way, in the same division, the Raiders watched across the sideline.
The other McDaniel's okay.
Yeah, no kidding. You hired the wrong McDaniel. But like the fact that you're in week 3, you're the only winless team after you went out and spent all of this capital to go get Devontae Adams, and you have the owner who looks like his hair was cut under a bowl of cereal, sitting you down trying to figure out, hey, what's going on here, man?
Yeah.
Not great.
I would definitely advise him to go to Sport Clips if he's going to get a new haircut either way. But then again, he is a millionaire, so what do I know?
Sure.
Coming up next, Buffalo Bills segment. Stick around. There's a lot to talk about last week and this week. Welcome back to the Rochester Press Box. Buffalo Bills segment is brought to you by Ralph Honda, 3 generations, and celebrating 50 years as New York's first and oldest Honda dealer. Visit Ralph Honda today and find out how we do Honda right, ralphhonda.com. All right, Buffalo Bills last week, a certain person on the show sitting in that chair said about 4 weeks ago to watch out for the Miami Dolphins, and then...
Yeah, no, it's amazing how that certain person who's being so humble, not saying his own name, knew that the Bills were going to be down 16 players at one point in that game. You cannot look at me and tell me that Dolphins team is better than that Bills team. Or that they deserve to win that game.
No, they do deserve to win that game. Actually, it's more Buffalo, you're right, did give that game away more than Miami wanted. But in the trenches, they did. And at the end of the game, listen, I know a lot of people are kind of over this. It was 6 days ago. But I'm sorry. That Ken Dorsey video is hilarious when you look back at it now that you're off to another week.
No, even after the loss, because I was laughing. I was upset with the loss. I'm laughing at him. Because my favorite part, my brother brought this up on the Let's Go Buffalo podcast, available on Odyssey and wherever you get your podcasts.
Shameless plug.
Thank you. He didn't have anything heavy to smash. So, like, he just had papers, and he's, like, aggressively, lightly throwing papers on his desk, which was, like, that's the most embarrassing part. Also, whoever covered the camera with their hand, hey, about 15 seconds too late, bro. What are you doing?
What is Miami right now that they lead the AFC East?
They're a pretty good team.
Yeah.
How good? I don't know yet.
Yeah.
I don't know yet.
They're so good that their quarterback threw for under 190 yards.
Against the worst defensive secondary, perhaps, in the
NFL.
AFC.
At one point, you had a rookie first-round pick at corner, two safeties that combined for one start, and an undrafted rookie free agent from UB playing against Jay Little and Tariq Hill. And Tariq Hill was held under 33 yards.
And the defensive line was missing guys, so they didn't even have a rush that should have been elite.
But meanwhile, the Bills were down to their third center, right? I mean, look, I'll tell you what doomed them. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, Kevin. That 19-play drive in the third quarter that took 12 minutes, the Buffalo Bills, they didn't cash in at 7 points. And at the end of that drive, you saw it was like Jonestown, man. You had bodies all over the ground, multiple offensive and defensive linemen. The Bills spent all the energy they had. It bit them. It ended up costing them that game. I'm convinced of it.
I would agree. I mean, the announcers kept talking about the Miami defense and how this has to be depleting them, but same thing on offense. You're expending just as much energy. So, yeah, they looked like they had nothing left when they got the ball back after the butt punt. So maybe it's not a surprise they couldn't pick up that.
I will say this.
necessary yardage.
I think it's the best loss of the year this early in the season. This is why. It's happening week 3, not the second round of the playoffs or an AFC championship game.
The only bad thing, and maybe it's not a bad thing, but there are so many built-in excuses that, I don't even know, is it a loss? I mean, how seriously is the loss?
Yeah.
I mean, some losses are, yes, it can be a wake-up. This one is like, well, how could we have won?
Exactly. I mean, look, you're going to see the Dolphins again. There's no way the Dolphins keep pace win-loss-wise with the Bills all season long. I'm not worried about this at all. I am very nervous about the game against the Ravens, seeing as how you see them once. The Ravens look like they're going to be in contention for that first overall seed in the AFC. Lamar Jackson scares the hell out of me, and you still have all of the injury situations that you were dealing with last week, depending on what happens with Ed Oliver, Jordan Phillips, Poyer.
And more injuries.
Yeah, absolutely. Tommy Doyle, a reserve offensive lineman who you would need to start possibly this week, is out for the season.
Is this a must-win week?
I mean, there's no must-win week 4 game. However, this could be the difference between a playoff game against Baltimore in Buffalo and a playoff game against Baltimore in Baltimore. So if that's a must-win, yes.
How do you call it?
The Bills, for some reason, as we tape this, are still favored by 3 points, which with all the stuff is insane. I don't think the Bills, even as depleted as they are, can lose back-to-back conference games. I have the Bills, and I have them doing it by more than 3.
Calling it?
I just worry about what Lamar Jackson can do, much more than what I worried about what Tua could do. So I would, Josh Allen, and now they're not in that heat, though, that crazy oppressive heat, but I got it a 1-point game, and I don't know who. So whatever the line is, take the point.
And the Bills are not good at close games.
Yeah, they are 0 for their last 7 in close games. But to your point, if Tua did what he did last week, right, Lamar Jackson's got to be at least a 4 or a 5.
Yeah,
We'll see. I see shootout. I see
Anybody?
shootout all the way. I will call it Bills late, and we'll break the streak. Let's go 28-25. How about that?
I'll take it.
There you go. Coming up next, we'll do Like It or Not. You're watching the Rochester Press Box.
Here's the Press Box trivia question brought to you by Market View Liquor. where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390.
Hey, how about a day trip to my hometown, Corning, New York, and the star of the show, the Corning Museum of Glass? Mike O'Brien, your getaway guy. I'll take you here. Check out the Getaway Guy on Facebook.
Here's the Press Box Trivia answer, brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390.
We had this big brawl in Toronto between the Sabres and the Maple Leafs on a Sunday evening. The end is near. I mean, it's getting closer and closer, and it's going to be a while before the NHL takes fighting out of the game, but it's coming. The people in charge, Gary Bettman primarily, is a lawyer. There's a lot of lawyers there. They don't need the NFL settlement, lawsuits, and they're coming. There's guys whose careers were ended because they went back on the ice and never should have played again, or until they were healthy. Their brain was healthy. So those types of suits are coming. The NHL is going to mandate that, fighting is your game misconduct comes with it, but slowly they're going to get it out of the game. I do see it coming. I do find it interesting, though, that in meting out punishment in this, they fined Ron Ralston for his selection of players. John Scott already on the ice, yet apparently he wasn't allowed to keep him on the ice. So if I'm Ron Ralston, I call Gary Bettman every game day and say, who would you like me to start in goal? I better check with you because you obviously think you have to say.
I've always got the feeling that the NHL never really knew what to do with this whole fighting issue.
I'm pretty sure they don't because it's taken a long time to legislate and regulate. But I think 10 years, 8 years, 5 years, I'm not sure, but it's coming.
All right. The next time somebody says to you, within the next few weeks, do you think it's too early to judge E.J. Manuel as the Bills quarterback? My response to you would be to say to them, yes, and then walk away, and maybe never speak to that person again. It's an idiotic thing to think you can figure out a quarterback after 4 weeks. And I brought numbers. I never bring numbers. 4th week of his rookie season, 4 interceptions, 17 of 125 for 130 yards. You know who that was? That was Russell Wilson last year. 4 weeks into his career, he had more interceptions than touchdowns. His team was only 2-2 because they play great defense and can run the ball. Nobody was judging Russell Wilson. Now we look at him, everybody thinks they know so much. All I'll tell you about E.J. Manuel is, do we know if he's good yet? Absolutely not. But do we know if it was a bad pick? Absolutely not. You don't know after 3 games, 13 games, and sometimes 23 games. Give it a break. We still have time.
Welcome back to the Press Box. This segment, like it or not, is being brought to you by Sport Clips, where the MVP experience is better than ever. Sport Clips, the pros in men's hair. No appointment needed. Stop by a Rochester location today. All right, Sabres, we'll start with Kevin. Kevin, your thoughts, like it or not, Sabres playoff team?
If you trust Eric Comrie as the goalie or Craig Anderson, then maybe, but I think that's still an issue to be addressed. Borderline, they're improved. They're going to be fun to watch. I don't see them getting in.
Fun to watch.
No, they're absolutely going to be fun to watch. In fact, the first 2 preseason games have been wildly fun to watch. I love Alex Tuck. I want to take him home. I want to adopt him like I was going to adopt Josh Allen last week. Alex Tuck is my favorite player. But no, Kevin, who is the hockey expert in Rochester, is absolutely right. Your goaltending situation is a problem, and it all stems back to injuries with Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen over the last couple of years, because this was going to be the year you were going to unleash this prime goaltending piece that was going to be the guy that was going to push you over the top. It was supposed to happen towards the end of last year. It didn't. There's no guarantee he makes the Sabres roster to start this year, which is a problem. Now you have 2 other prospects that are breathing down his neck, which is making him uncomfortable. The defense is there. The young talent that are these guys.
I love their young D.
Yes,
that's a great building block for a decade, maybe.
Between Jokiharju and Power and Dahlin, and you have guys that are coming up from Rochester that are so young, they're too young to know they're going to make mistakes, which is very dangerous in the NFL or NHL for opposing teams. But the goaltending, right?
Yeah, we have excitement before any puck drops. From
UPL
the
has just. And maybe it is because of the injuries, and he hasn't had a consistent season to just play. He's inconsistent. There are just too many bad goals that have been given up here that he's, you don't know.
And what's weird is you have the same type of goalie 4 times in the franchise, right? You have Comrie and you have Anderson, and I love Anderson, but his body can't take a whole season, right? It stinks. Then you have Malcolm Subban, who I'm also a big fan of. Fun fact, Malcolm Subban, the highest win percentage in shootouts in NHL history. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Now you do. And then UPL, but all of these guys are at about the same level, and there's a logjam between Rochester and Buffalo, which is heartbreaking. They have plenty of guys that can kind of do it, nobody that can do it.
Look at this excitement. Look at this
Love
excitement.
hockey, let's go!
Now we'll be back in 3 weeks to find out if that's going to be held up or not. Coming up next, Unfinished Business. You're watching the Rochester Press Box. The Press Box Stat of the Week is being brought to you by McArdle's Restaurant in Fairport. McArdle's is open 7 days a week with dining available indoors and out, takeout and delivery. Come home to McArdle's.
And now to Eichel. He floated one.
Welcome back to the Rochester Press Box. It's Unfinished Business time, being brought to you by Genesee Brew House, your beer destination since 2012. Visit the gift shop, enjoy a tasting at our pilot brewery, and dine at the pub-style restaurant, the Genesee Brew House. All right, first to fire off, Mr. Pat Duffy.
What do you want, competitiveness or entertainment? Now, as we tape this, Aaron Judge is stuck on 60 home runs. He may have 75 by the time we run, but that doesn't change the fact what happened in Toronto on Monday and Tuesday night. Toronto, in the thick of a wild card hunt here, trying to keep the Yankees from winning the AL East, were consistently walking Aaron Judge during his plate appearances the first 2 games they were playing against the Yankees at home. And people were very upset about this. In fact, fans, half of them Yankees fans, booing them in their own stadium for not allowing Judge to hit. Well, I got some news for you. First time it worked. They put Judge on base, ended up in extra innings. The Blue Jays won it, took a game ahead in the second AL wildcard spot. Didn't work the next night, but the point is this. I understand that people are tuning in to watch this history happen, and I want to see it happen. I'm really impressed by what Judge is doing. But how do you not factor in the Blue Jays want to make the playoffs? The Blue Jays are there to win games. It's good baseball to not pitch to a guy who has 20 more home runs than anyone else in the league and has what, like a 930 OPS right now? Let them win ball games. If Aaron Judge wants to get his home run record, he's going to have to do it the hard way. Don't be so good, you'll get a chance to hit.
They threw him pitches that were hittable. They did. And he chose to take it, and it was off the plate, and it was a ball. I liked it. Yeah. I like your point. I mean, it's true. Because he's not all about, I'm going to get this record, took the walk.
All right, go ahead. Sorry, Kevin. Sorry.
The Rochester Red Wings baseball season ended this week. This week? Are you kidding me? What are we doing playing until October? Almost October. This is, you know what? Major League Baseball has done some good things with minor league baseball, but one of them is not extending the minor league season and making the season, I don't want to say it, sorry folks, but meaningless. 2 teams in AAA make the playoffs? Huh? Like, what is the point of the season? At least now it's defined. It is all development. But we need something to play for as fans, something to cheer for, rather. So, we've got to bring some competitiveness back, and we can't play games that mean nothing in the end of September. Please.
There's about 10 teams in the NFL that have a quarterback number 1. I don't mean just on their team, but I'm talking about in the NFL. One of which might be the Dallas Cowboys, might be on that 8-9 cusp. But they have another quarterback that they love. His name is Cooper Rush. And apparently all this week there has been a debate on whether or not Dak Prescott should be the number 1 or Cooper Rush should be the number 1. Dak Prescott's got the bigger contract. Dak Prescott has played more NFL games. Cooper Rush has played 3 and won all 3. Can I remind people of a guy by the name of Mike White? Or should I remind people of a guy, Tyler Heineke? All of these players that sort of come out of nowhere, win games, and then people believe they're going to be the starting quarterback for the future. Like they're going to get another Tony Romo again. Let me just tell you this. Don't be surprised if Cooper Rush turns back into Cooper Rush 3 weeks from now and you're singing the praises of Dak Prescott. A backup quarterback's supposed to do what he does. Win 2 games while your starting quarterback is out. That's exactly what he did. If he turns out to be the starting quarterback for the Cowboys, I guess I'll be wrong. But I wasn't wrong about Daniel Jones, was I? And that's this week's Rochester Press Box. Kevin, good luck start of the season. You seem excited about the Sabres.
I am, but this is the greatest time of the year. Hockey starts, every team thinks they're good. Maybe some are. Phoenix is never, Arizona's never any good. They're not thinking
Could
that.
you get both? Could you get the Bills and the Sabres excitement for at least 3 months?
That seems to be how it's happening throughout all the 4 leagues, right? Like when a city gets good, all of a sudden 2 teams get good at the same time. Tampa Bay, right? Pittsburgh.
Philly.
You feel it? It's time.
Philly, the Flyers haven't been good in 3 decades.
Not the Flyers. Shut up, Kevin.
Oh, I'm so happy to have you back, Kevin. Join us next week for the Rochester Press Box. Have a great night. I thought you meant the 80s we said Philly, man.